Hey everyone, it's Aquila and this is a Lefty Knitted podcast. Welcome to my channel. This is episode 102. It is Sunday. I'm actually recording on Sunday. That almost never happens. This is a weekly style vlog that includes crafting and knitting and whatever else I'm into at that moment. And I put the clips together and post them on Saturdays. So welcome. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for, all the things with the podcast. So I'm in Baltimore and it's snowing. I'll put in a clip after I finish recording this. So, yeah. If you don't know, I own an Erlbacher Speedster knitting machine. I have a 64 stitch cylinder, and that is what I did yesterday for probably about 2-3 hours. I don't know. I didn't have the yarn prep, so I had to do some yarn prepping before I could even do that. But I cranked out another pair of socks. Finished socks. Now these are cranked all the way from hem to toe, and then I just have to Kitchener the toe closed, and I did a hung hem on these. This is Patton's Croy. This is the Route 66 colorway. These are a gift for someone, so I have two, promise. And so I do a hung hem, so it's not ribbed, it's just doubled up. And yeah, I like these. These look really pretty on camera. I'm not the biggest fan of this colorway, just in general. I don't know why, because I love greens and blues, but this is not my favorite. So, finished object number 1. Yeah. I really do think I want to start offering the cranking services on my Etsy shop. I say Etsy shop like we've had an Etsy shop and like I've sold anything out of it. I created an Etsy shop called Knitty Bow Fiber Co. because I wanted to get the name, and we've just never used it. So I do have a very skin and bones type, that's probably not the greatest analogy. It is a very skeletal post for a cranking of tubes. So I need to put more details in there. I really need to do a little more research, but it's there. And I really think I want to start offering that. I think cranking tubes, I now actually own a 72 stitch cylinder also, so I can crank tubes that are a little bit for people that have wider feet. I have put out a call to my knitting group to ask them to drop off skeins of yarn, which they still haven't done. Talking to you, ladies. I don't know if any of them actually watch this. Because I want people to give me their foot size in inches. And then whether you see, some people don't know if they like a deep heel or not, because maybe they've never knit a deep heel. But I want to offer these services. So I really need to start. That is going to be, I don't really set a lot of goals, and that's terrible. I should set more smaller goals for myself. That is going to be a smaller goal that I set for myself, no pressure, to get a better listing up on Etsy, because I think I would really like to do that. The only stipulation is there's no way I can ship stuff overseas. Even to pay for shipping, to make the other person pay for shipping, it's not even worth it. So it's going to be based solely probably the United States, possibly Canada. Yeah. So let me know if you're interested in that. I can always put up custom Etsy listings, maybe. I've never done that, but I need to get better at it. I think that's the next, I just need to look into it more, right? So yeah, because I would like to offer that. I think it would be cool. I know people get tubes done, but I know people buy socks too, finished socks. There's a few cranking services that I've seen where they crank a full sock. Or they just buy already pre-cranked socks based on the size. So you're not sending your yarn in, you're just buying the socks from whatever yarn that maker had. So I said I spent that long. I didn't crank just this or prep just this. These actually, I had cranked tubes when I first got my machine and was like, oh, I'll put heels and toes and stuff in later. No, I ripped that out, and these were this was some of the yarn that I had ripped out and rewashed so I could do the whole thing on the machine. Because it's easier. So let me pop on one. So they're not finished. And there's a reason why, and I can't say the reason why. I know, I'm keeping you in suspense. I'm sorry. Okay. Remember that blue and pink yarn that I dyed? Do you remember? Do you remember? So, I cranked 4 socks, minus the toes. Yeah. I used, let me put the other one on real quick before I get into this. So for both of these, I had some yarn that John dyed with Brazilian logwood, and I used that for the cuffs, and then I switched over to the blue and pink. Ignore the green at the bottom, it is waste yarn. Both of these were cranked, I should say all 4 of these were cranked on my 64 stitch cylinder. Now, I have 2, I can promise you I have 2. This one, these are a pair, but I wanted to show you one of each on a blocker. So these had some cool micro striping, some flashing, some spiraling, some pulling, some really cool stuff going on, right? I love that look. I know some people don't care for it. The other pair, minus the toe, did much more of a striping sequence. Now, I'm going to explain why. Like I said, both of them were 64 stitches. Now on the machine, you can tighten the tension, which I didn't do because I'm not messing with my tension again. That just was a whole nother episode. I cranked one whole sock using the heel spring on. Now you usually only use the heel spring for the heels and the toes because it keeps the yarn taut so you can do your short rows. Because if it doesn't keep it taut, then you're gonna drop stitches. That's a whole nother thing. So this one was cranked without the heel spring on. Only for the heel did I have the heel spring on, right? This one was cranked, which changes your tension because it's holding that yarn taut. This one was cranked with the heel spring on the whole time. See how much it changed? Now, granted, I dyed both of these skeins. This was one skein, this was another skein, so I might not have had the exact amount of dye of the blue on one side and the pink on the other. But I think if I would have taken this skein and put that heel spring on, I think I would have gotten the same effect. I may not, but I think that I might have. So, isn't that interesting? So they talk about how like you can do planned pulling by adjusting your tension and whatnot. That is exactly what happened here. By adjusting the tension tighter, I got these micro stripes. Micro striped sections through the whole sock. And with the tension not like that, it striped on one side, but it didn't on the other. And then when I got down to the foot part, the heel had changed the placement of where those striping sections were going to be. So then the striping sections, instead of just being down one side, ended up spiraling around the sock. I think it's very interesting. I like this look. There are many people that I know don't. See how that one didn't fully spiral? It kind of like, I don't know what to call that, boomeranged? I don't know. I'm very, very happy with that. So, spoke a lot for the first clip. I try not to always do that. I think it looks really cool though, and I had to show them before I have to do the second part of these. So, John has ruined my secret too, so just saying. All right, let me just show you the snow because it looks really pretty. Also, real quick. I told you it could be any kinds of crafts, right? So when Hayes was real little, we used to actually show a little bit more of like kid crafts and whatnot. And she's just not so much into the crafting right now. I mean, I wish she was, but she's not. So I'm not going to like force it upon her, but it's always available to her. Her 100th day of school is tomorrow. And, well, was it tomorrow? I think it's today, but they're celebrating it tomorrow because Sunday, no school. So they're asked to like wear a shirt that they've decorated. Last year we sewed on, she had this cute striped dress that she didn't really wear a whole lot anymore. So we glued on all these pom-poms. We glued 100 pom-poms on her shirt and just put the word 100 across it. This year I went a little more creative. Granted, she didn't do much of the work. She tuckered out after like the first half, right? She's 5. And so Mom finished the shirt for her, but it was partially her idea. She had partially thought of this and I enhanced it. So, and apparently this is like a thing that people actually do. So I don't know if she had seen it from school because they showed them examples maybe. Either way, ready for her shirt. I've talked long enough before I show you this white crafted shirt that we did. And she put her name, so it says Hazel and a heart is 100 days brighter. So we used some pom-poms for the 100 and we drew 100 flames for, you know, brighter light bulbs, candles, etc. So John was like, let's do some fun ones. So we did like some of the curly Q-y ones, like the flamey ones, right? So we did some of them. And then he was like, let's draw a candle. And I was like, do you want me to do a candle? He's like, yeah. So I did, where's my candle? There's my candle with the little holder. And then on the front, I thought this one was kind of fun. It's a jar candle. And it says live, love, learn. And it says plus, minus, multiply, divide. I'm ridiculous. I'm sorry. But I think it's super cute. I tried to convince her to do a black shirt with the yellow flames, and I was going to use silver puffy paint, but she was all about the white shirt, so white it is. Sorry, I just had to show you guys. I know it's kind of silly, and it's not really what you're probably here for, but it's part of my life and my crafting journey for what we did this weekend. Today is Thursday, and it's February 4th. I'm not gonna have much for this episode, and that's okay. I want to show you guys my new shirt first. So, you know, before we couldn't do anything, there used to be a thing where you go and see people play instruments and sing songs called concerts. God, I miss seeing live music. So we have a place in Baltimore called the Auto Bar, and I've seen many shows there. I've been drunk many times there. Seen all kinds of different bands. They host all different genres of music, which is awesome, and it's a tiny little hole in the wall, which makes it even better. I love it. So because of everything that's happening, places like that are in danger of closing, right? Like places have probably already closed, etc. And so John wanted to help support them and bought, they were selling shirts, t-shirts, and long sleeve shirts, which in my opinion, $20 for a long sleeve shirt that's, you know, specialized, I think is not a bad price. I've never had shirts made, so I don't know what the cost of it is, but let me show you my shirt. All that, just to say. So it's 2 levels. That's why it almost looks like the size of maybe 2 townhomes put together, if you know what I'm talking about, row homes. Stop showing you now, I need to show you again. Okay, the upper level, they used to do like dance music and like have DJs and stuff, and then on the bottom level was where they have the stage and all the bands. So And the people are all cats. Can you see that? Here, let me move it closer. Ready? I love it. So, sorry, I had to show you because we really do miss music, and if there's any way you can support venues and support places that need it, obviously, that's what we're doing. We're trying anyway. Trying our best. All right. I have a little bit of progress to show you on, yep, this bag. I only have 2 things really going right now. This is the Catbells Carter sweater. It's a pullover. And I'm using the yarn that John dyed out of the fisherman's wool. It was cream and he overdyed it a brown color. I had only had 1 little panel done. I now have both sides done and I've connected them. If I can figure out which way, there we go. So that is the front, that's the right side. These are the 2 panels. Where the sleeves connect is a little bit, it's like a drop sleeve. So, and then I'll add in the collar, the ribbed collar. So that's just some waste yarn from where this was held on waste yarn when I picked up. So, I'm gonna pop on a progress keeper right now so I don't forget. Let me do that. Let me find a different little kitty cat to show it to. Oh, I can't use my robots. I have to use something else. Oh, and that doesn't have. Well, dang it. Thought I was going to use one of my kitties. I'm going to use the thing, my crystal from Chevis. So, that will be my progress keeper for this one. Pop it on. So I don't forget, because I'm really terrible at that. And then I'm like, I don't know where I was. I'm just showing you randomly. So there, now it's on there. All right, let's just push that off to the side instead of trying to rebag it because that takes time. The other thing I have started, and I had posted a picture of this on my Instagram showing the colors, and I've started it. I also was really nervous about making this because it's a crochet cardigan. I'll put the name down below because I can't remember. It's a crochet cardigan and every other row is a different color. And technically it says to cut your yarn. And I'm not doing that because I'm too afraid that if I end up hating it or it's not the right size, I just have all these random bits and pieces of yarn because I've cut them. So I had some really great advice from, I believe her name's Heather, could be wrong, Bunny Fish Crafts, and from one of my followers, her Instagram is like Rockin' Penny. If you go to the post, you'll see their comments, and they both pretty much gave me the same concept, and I'm gonna end up carrying the yarn up the side. I watched a video or 2 on YouTube, and I got a good gist of how to do it. So, these are both yarns that John dyed. This is dyed with black walnuts. This was one of his recent acid dyes that you've seen. So, and I think they look really cool together. And the only thing with me doing this method of not cutting, I have, at one end, I'll have a live loop, which you end up picking up as your yarn over to go at the last, it's hard to explain. And what was I gonna say? That's really terrible. I can't remember where I was going with this. Either way. Oh, that's where I was going. Because of how I have to work color A one way and then color B the same direction instead of usually you're going this way, back and forth because you're turning. But because I don't want to cut my yarn, I have to work color A one way, color B the same way, then color A back, and that's when I have a live loop on color A, and then I have to work color B back, and that's when I pick it up and go up. That's how it works. Because of that, normally you're going back and forth and you have a right side and a wrong side. So you're going to have 2 right sides, 2 wrong sides, 2 right sides, 2 wrong sides, if that makes sense. But in crochet, I don't see much of a visual difference in the front versus the back because you're making these little clusters. So I don't see much of a difference. I'm not very far, but again, like the biggest difference in that I can visually see is this row I just did, this blue. You can see the V almost of this top stitch leans more forward. So if that was going the opposite direction, it would lean a little more backward. Is that, do you get what I'm saying? I don't know if I can even hold it for you to see. Okay, see how it leans a little more forward towards you, this little V here? And on the brown one, it's leaning backward. Does that make sense? Because there is a right side and a wrong side to crochet, although I feel like in this, like I said, visually, it doesn't make much of a difference. So that's as far as I've gotten. I think it's really pretty. I'm at lunch right now from work. I'm gonna try to get on the next row so I can really have 2 rows of the tan to really see a good visual. Yay! So it's very long because this goes all the way around your body and it'll close in the front. That's terrible. Try to make that work. All right, I'm gonna put a progress keeper on this now too, so I remember. All right, it is Saturday. Let's round up this video. Whew. All right, I made like 1 or 2 row progress on that cardigan and a little bit of progress on the sweater for Maggie, the brown one, the Catbells sweater. So I'm not going to show them. It's just a little bit of progress. And I, this morning, woke up and was like, I really wanted to crank my mom another pair of socks for her birthday. If you remember, we didn't get to see her because of the snow. I cranked these, so I still have to wrap these and give them to her. She won't see this until after I see her today. Sorry, Mom. But I cranked another pair this morning because I really wanted to give her another pair. Now, these are Knit Picks Felici, and this is the Dragon Boat colorway. And I noticed, I was like, oh, my cuffs all start the same, and then it changed. And there must have been a knot in the yarn or a tie where they tied off the color and started it at a different point, because this sock, I'll show you real quick, is correct for the color sequence. This one is not. Look at all that green. Boop, 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 boop. Oh well. 2 socks. I cranked these all on my machine. I did get my 72 cylinder put on my machine and I tried it, but these are 64. And my mom wears a size 11, so the foot's about 10 inches. Yeah, and I need the bigger blockers to show the bigger socks for John and my mom, but I think it's pretty cool. I ordered this and I really wasn't in love with the color, and I don't know why. I probably ordered it because it had green in it. I love green. But I wasn't like in love with it, so I was like, well, my mom will wear anything. I shouldn't be like that. Give her something that I didn't really care for, but I know she'll wear them. She wears all of them. So I am excited about being able to give her 2 pairs of socks. Let's see. I put a bunch of questions up on my Instagram about cranking services for the shop when I finally get it like really up and running. And I got a really good mixed response. I had shown, you know, all these different options. You could get 1 tube cranked, you could get 2 tubes cranked from 1 ball of yarn, and it would be in 2. and you'd have waist yarn at both ends. So you have to know some hand knitting to put in like heels, cuffs, and toes. I also offered, I was saying I could offer 2 tubes with hung hems at the top. I don't have a ribber, so hung hems at the top, and then a straight tube with waist yarn. And then another option I put out there, and I had such mixed reviews that I feel like I need to add all these options and just see how it goes. And then I could crank it on 64 versus 72, so you'd have that option too. Then one of the other options was split the ball in 2, hung hem, leg, a heel, and just crank out the rest of the yarn. You would just have to insert your needles where you would start your toe and knit your toe. And then the last one would be a fully cranked sock, like this. And you would tell me what shoe size you wear. And if you wear a regular, like you don't wear wide, unless you think you have fat feet, I would do a 64. Or I would do a 72 if you said wide. And I would crank the whole sock. So I have a bunch of chart conversions for shoe size to foot length. So my mom wears an 11, and most of the websites say it's about a 10 and something inches, like 3/8 or something. So I crank 9 inches on my machine starting from the heel, and then 9 inches, and then I start the toe, because the toes are about an inch. So that's 10 inches total, approximately. Like, this is an approximate, because nothing's ever like exactly perfect. But because these have enough stretch, she's getting that 3/8 of an inch or whatever. So I think, you know, I could also, obviously in the listing it's going to say it's not guaranteed to be exact fit. Like, that's just not going to happen. But I also thought about, like, instead of you sending me your yarn, I use yarn that I already have, and it would be at a more expensive price because it covers the cost of the yarn and the cranking. Oh, and then if you bought John's yarn, which he says we're going to have to eventually start selling, you know, because he's dyeing up a lot and I can't knit through it fast enough. I mean, or he's going to like gift it to friends and stuff. But that we could offer, if you wanted it cranked right then and there before we mailed it, we could crank it. If that's what you wanted it for. Granted, you might want to buy the skein of yarn because you want to make a hat or a shawl or whatever from it. So, yeah. We are 1 episode away from finishing In the Light. I think that was the name of it. It's a CW show. It just is very unrealistic. But it is what it is. It wasn't a terrible show. And then we watched that glass blowing show. That's always really cool. I think watching craftsmen do their craft is just really amazing. And I'm sure most of you would probably agree, like watching the baking show and then the glass blowing show and then there was that pottery show. I could watch those all day long. I wish there was like more episodes. There's only like 8 episodes in that. And then, yeah, that's about it. We're supposed to get a little more weather tomorrow. I didn't realize that. My mom told me this morning. Oops. I hope it's not a lot, because I actually, I'm over it already. I think my little one is coming. Nope. I think that's all I have to show. I haven't like gotten any yarn. The blanket is going to its home today. Hopefully the lady, I'm waiting for her to text me back. That could either go really good or really bad. No more commissions. So, I already do have, I haven't set up the Etsy shop, but I already have a coworker was like, I want a pair of socks for my daughter, and you pick the yarn. She loves crazy colors. And I was like, okay. And she was okay with it being like yarn that I already have, plus the service to be whatever the price. And she was okay with that. So that's cool. That would be like a commission, right? Like if somebody was like, oh, I am going to send you this yarn and it's this price. I mean, isn't that a commission? Isn't all the listings I really have a commission? Unless I actually crank socks and say it's approximately a woman's 9 and have that already listed. Like I could list these in the shop right now as a woman's size 11 shoe. Done. And you could buy them, whatever price I put them up. And that wouldn't technically be a commission then, because I guess almost anything I'm putting up there as cranking services is like a commission. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say. I haven't been reading anything. I've just been watching my podcasts that are in my queue, and I'm like 2 weeks behind, and that's stressing me out, and it shouldn't stress you out watching your podcasts, but that are like in your queue. I mean, not watching your podcasts. You might not have a podcast. Now I'm rambling. I hope everybody's having a great day, week, whenever you watch this, and just thank you for being here. Thank you for being a friend. What is that from? I don't think I ever watched that show. Was it Laverne and Shirley? Okay, now I'm really going on. Knit happy, everybody, and I'll see you in the next episode.